I see familiar faces. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for being here. Since we're a small group, why don't we just introduce ourselves? I think you know me, Father Mark here. Marilyn, would you start?
I'm Marilyn Griffin, and I've been in the parish for my whole life, and I've never been to Italy, so I'm trying to convince my husband that this might be a nice thing to do. We didn't do anything for our 50th anniversary because it was during COVID, so this is 55, so
55.
Wow. We'll
That's
see.
wonderful. That's great. Eileen?
Hi, I'm Eileen Callahan. I've actually been in this parish my whole life too. I came as a child. So a long time. My daughter went to school here, I think with one of your children in one of the classes. And I am interested in this. I have been to Italy before, but strangely never to Rome. I've been to Milan and Venice, just at various other times. So from the point of view of the pilgrimage, I like that, and to see all these things too. I work in research at UCLA, but my other undergraduate degree was actually in art history. So
Oh, wow.
I'm interested in all these things.
I love it.
Yeah.
Hi everyone, my name is Steph. I actually got baptized here 2 years ago, and Father Jerry was the one that was helping me with the whole RCIA process. I actually been to Rome before as part of the baptism after here. My family actually flew in from Hong Kong. We actually went to Rome, but then at the time I'm still a baby. It was like a week old Catholic, so I didn't know anything and what's going on. And so that's why I also heard great things about this organization that's hosting this. And so, yeah, I was planning to go solo because I feel like this would be a good self-discovery trip, just a me trip. So that's how I see it. But yeah, so looking forward to today's session.
Great,
Yeah.
terrific.
Right, Tony, and I drive Charlotte around, so that's why I'm here. St. Joan of Arc's parish, but so that's I come to many things with the stars and do things with that. And as far as Europe, okay, I remember I took a trip all over Europe, and we went through. It was quick. We did stop in Assisi, and went around. So that was like the Blitzen tour.
Yeah, this could be a little different. Well, that's great. And I don't know where Charlotte went, but she's so gung-ho, she doesn't have to be here, I guess. She's coming. She's definitely coming.
She says that she has a big event.
Oh, that's
yes.
right. She has her stars event upstairs. Yeah, that's right.
And here she comes. She's all nervous about the big event.
We just want to see you and say hi. And
Hi everyone. I hope you join this pilgrimage because it was really set up well by them, and we're gonna have our associate pastor with us and our very efficient coordinator in town with us too. So I hope you really decide to come.
thank you.
Thank you,
By the
Charlotte.
way, I'm Charlotte.
Thank you, Charlotte.
God bless you guys.
And Fenton?
Oh yeah, I'll step to the front so that everyone can see me. I'm Fenton Heine. I don't know, I think I know some of you. I'm the marketing director here and kind of helping with the logistics coordination for the pilgrimage. But yeah, I've been here for 25 years, my entire life. I went to school here, and I started at the parish office 2.5 years ago. But yeah, anyways, yeah, I'm very excited.
Yeah, thank you, Fenton. And I'll let Scott and Inga introduce themselves in a moment. But I was just going to start off by saying, our parish doesn't have a big tradition of pilgrimages. You might know some parishes around. It's like 3 times a year they're going someplace, like St. Monica's. They have so many. They go to South America. They go to Africa. They go to the Holy Land. This is something new for us, and so I'm glad you're here because in some ways you're going to be our ambassadors to the parish as well, to let them know about this and the opportunity that this is. Catholic Travel Agency, this was the group that was recommended to us when priests get together in a certain region, and I talked to some of the pastors, and they said, go with Catholic Travel. So we're very happy, and this is one of the things that they're able to do for us that other companies wouldn't have done, which is to be here today, answer our questions, and really get it, we know we're getting good information. So the idea of a pilgrimage, we all like vacations, but this is not just merely a vacation. This is, in a spiritual sense, a spiritual journey. When we think of the pilgrimages of our faith, we can go right back to the beginnings of our faith. Think of the scriptures. Think of the chosen people on pilgrimage through the desert to get to the promised land. What did they have to do? It was a spiritual journey that reflected their lives. They had to let go of the slaveries. They had to learn how to be free so that they would be able to enter the Holy Land. When we think of the disciples following Jesus on the road from Galilee to Jerusalem, you think of the spiritual pilgrimage of the learning, the growth that happened preparing them. You think about the history of the church from Canterbury to the Camino in Spain, which still thousands of people every year go on that journey to some of the great shrines in Europe. Why is it still attracting them? It means something. Again, it's reflecting something in their lives and the spiritual growth that they're searching for and seeking. So think of this as that kind of journey that we'll be on, and we're doing it together too, so that we'll be sharing that pilgrimage, sharing the learnings and whatever the Lord wants to do with us. When we talk about liturgy, getting ready for Mass, the preparation for coming to Mass, liturgists, the people who study liturgy, they would say that's the beginning of liturgy. So when you're thinking of going to church on Sunday, you're getting ready and getting in the car, they see all of that as the beginnings of the Sunday liturgy. So in some ways, our little period now, from now to this Lent and November, this can all be part of our preparations too, that we're going to be maybe learning, and maybe we'll be able to get together a few times before that, so that this experience can be kind of a prayerful preparation for us too. So that's just a little introduction for me. I'm going to have a little opening prayer now for our time together, and then I'll turn it over to Scott and let us pray. God of our journey, we thank you for this Jubilee year, a time of grace and renewal. As we learn about this pilgrimage, we ask for your blessing. We seek to follow in the footsteps of those who have gone before us, drawing closer to you through prayer, reflection, and fellowship. Open our hearts to the messages you have for us in sacred places. May this pilgrimage be a time of deepening our faith, strengthening our commitment to your church, and experiencing the joy of your boundless mercy. We pray for all pilgrims that they have safe travels and open minds. May we all be receptive to your presence in the beauty of our surroundings, the kindness of fellow pilgrims, and the graces offered through the sacraments. Help us to leave behind the distractions and focus on what truly matters, our relationship with you. And we offer this prayer through Christ our Lord, who is the way, the truth, and the life. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Okay, what's next?
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Thank you for coming out this morning, and thanks to Fintan for putting this all together so nicely, and Father Mark for getting us started. My name is Scott Inga. I'm the owner of Catholic Travel Center. We started the company in 1991, so we're doing this 30-some years. Inga's the director of operations, which means she makes everything happen on the ground. And as Father Mark said, we work with a lot of parishes all over the diocese, all over the country. Inga just got back from Rome with a group of 95 people with the Bishop of Cleveland, Bishop Malesic, we've done pilgrimages for Archbishop Gomez. Cardinal Mahoney is taking a group of his special friends on a Jubilee pilgrimage this year. So we have a lot of experience in doing this, so we bring all that experience and service to you. So what we're thinking about is to talk about the program that we've planned for you. You've got a fantastic itinerary. Assisi, Florence, and Rome are the places that you're going to be going. And Assisi is a little town in the region called Umbria. You've heard of St. Francis of Assisi and St. Clare. Assisi is one of those places that when you go, if people go for 2 days, they say, oh, we should have stayed 3. If they go for 5 days, they say, I really would have liked to spend an extra day. You're going back in time to this little medieval town that really is imbued with the spirit of Francis and Clare. So we have set up the program so that's where you're going to start. You're going to start in Assisi for a couple nights. And then you're going to go from there over to Siena. Siena is where St. Catherine of Siena is from. So you're going to be really kind of following in the footsteps of some of the saints. You have St. Francis and St. Clare, St. Catherine of Siena, in Rome, St. Paul the Apostle, St. Peter. So as Father Mark was saying, on a pilgrimage, it's really different than going on like a tour. A pilgrimage is really focuses on you're going to connect with the heritage, like all of our Catholic heritage. You're going during what's called a Jubilee year. So Jubilee happens every 25 years in the Catholic Church. It's a tradition that started back in the 1500s, right? And there are certain doors in the major basilicas that are only open during the Jubilee year. So you will process through those doors, and there's an indulgence that comes historically with that tradition of passing through those doors. Inga can tell you more about it because she was just recently there. So really, I like to say on a pilgrimage, you're stepping into the story. You're stepping into the story of our faith. And you're stepping into the story and the lives of people like Francis. And when you get to Assisi, and then you see, like we've all heard about the story of Francis of Assisi, but when you get to his town and you go to the places that he prayed, you kind of connect with them in a way that you couldn't connect any other way. It's like when you go to the hometown of a friend that you had never seen their hometown, and then you see their hometown and then, oh, okay, I get it. I get you differently. So that's what your experience will be like going to these places. So you start in Assisi, and then we go to Florence. So Florence, magic of Florence with all of its wonder and art. And then from Florence, we go into Rome. So you really just have 3 hotels the whole time. So it's a good structure. The distances aren't that far. It's a couple hours from Rome to Assisi, and then from Assisi to Florence, and then Florence. So it's like a triangle with about 2.5 hours in between each place. So that's the basic structure of the itinerary. You'll have Mass every day. You'll have a private Mass each time. I think one of the times we're going to celebrate the liturgy with the St. Patrick's.
Yeah,
St.
St.
Patrick's
Patrick's in Rome is the American parish in Rome, and it is served by the Paulists. So there'll be a real connection with St. Paul's in Rome.
Yeah, so we arranged it so I think it's on a Sunday you'll join the local community there for the Sunday liturgy. And so if you look at the itinerary that we have, I just wanted to kind of walk you through some of the highlights that we have. So we've arranged this program so that everyone's going to be making their own airline arrangements. And there's a reason that we're doing that. So with group airline arrangements these days, the airlines are quite restrictive in what they'll allow us to do. So for example, if you have a group airline reservation, we can't assign people's individual seats. And if somebody wants to go over earlier or come back later, they can't be on the group schedule. And they can't upgrade to a higher class of service with the group fare. So what we've learned over the years, now we have maybe 40% of our groups where the entire group goes with a land package, and then everyone collects in Rome, and then we start the journey from there. And typically people within the group will coordinate their flights if they want to fly together, if they want to fly with somebody. Sometimes people will go over early, so they'll go over a day earlier and stay in Rome. There's a Hilton hotel at the Rome airport, because our meeting point is going to be at the Rome airport, and we're going to take off from there and go to Assisi. So there's a Hilton hotel right on airport. You can walk from the Hilton hotel right to the terminal. Very easy. very convenient. So we'll gather there at the Rome airport on Tuesday when we arrive, and then we go to Assisi for 2 nights. So we have 2 nights in Assisi, and we'll really trace the footsteps of Francis and Clare in their life. And from there, then we go to Siena to explore the life of St. Catherine of Siena, on to Florence for 1, 2 nights, 3 nights in Florence, and then from Florence into Rome for the balance of the time. And in Rome, you'll have, like I said, you'll have Mass each day. You'll have Mass at the major basilicas. So there are 4 major basilicas in Rome: St. Paul the Apostle, St. John Lateran, St. Peter's, and St. Mary Major's. So those are the 4 major basilicas that have the holy doors that are only open every 25 years that you'll be passing through. You can see at the end of each day on the itinerary what meals are included. So we include breakfast and dinner, or breakfast and lunch most days. And then we gave you some free time because you're in Rome, maybe you want to go out and explore some of the restaurants, and everybody can do their own research and find good restaurants. And in terms of hotels, you've got all first-class hotels, so 4-star hotels in each of those cities. For your hotel in Rome, you can walk from your hotel, you're right in the heart of Rome, you can walk from your hotel right to the Basilica of St. Mary Major, for example. Or you can walk down the street and see Michelangelo's statue of Moses in the Church of St. Peter in Chains. Everything is, if you want to walk all the way down the hill, you can be at the Forum and the Colosseum. So you're right in that part of Rome. You're not far from the train station. It's a great old world hotel that you're in there. In Assisi, you're in a 4-star hotel that's right outside the town of Assisi. And it's set as a beautiful setting. Inga just stayed there. And in Florence, your hotel's smack dab in the middle of Florence. So the hotels are all really well located. Inga, do you want to talk about the registration?
Sure. Good morning to everybody. My name is Inga Duranovic, and I'm originally Croatian. I've been in this country for 30 years and 29 years with Catholic Travel Center. So I'm a veteran. And that's what we do, pilgrimages only. We don't do any other tours. So even though this is organized by your father, by your pastor, and by your parish, you're more than welcome to invite the friends and family, even though they belong to other parishes. And if they want to travel with you, it's not completely close to this parish, especially if you have friends and some neighboring parishes. Scott covered the hotels and what's included. It's 2 meals every day. All the tips are included. Having said that, you're always welcome to tip extra, but this is a pretty inclusive package, land package. You have to add the airline portion and any extra time that you want to spend in Rome or anywhere else that you want to do. So in order to register for this particular pilgrimage, you need to fill in the registration form, which is a part of this brochure.
Sorry, I printed it out separately.
Okay, you did it separately.
Yeah, just because I could staple the brochure together.
Okay, very good, but terms and conditions are part of the brochure, and then the registration form is to be filled and sent to us with a deposit of $1,000 per person. The final payment is due 4 months prior to departure, which now I don't have the registration for. Excuse me, let me just. Final payment is due in July. Now, deadline for registration, meaning your registration to be in our office is March 31st, so it's about a month from now. This is a Jubilee year. There is a lot of requests for the hotels and guides and all of that. So we must have, by the end of March, 25 people signed up so that we could, continue planning and go with it. So please keep that in mind if you're planning to register. Now, on the registration form, we ask you to fill all the fields, which means your Name, of course, your the way you want to be called on your name tag, mobile number, email address, all of that has to be there. Now, if you have a passport, we also already a passport. We also ask you to submit a copy of your passport, which means the page where you have your photo and your data. Passport must be valid minimum 6 months beyond the return. Okay. If you do not have the passport valid now, that's fine. You can submit it as long as we receive it by 90 days before departure. We're okay. You also notice that there are two prices here. Discount price is a standard price. Why is that so? Because the credit card companies charge a high commission. And we do not want to pass that extra charge to the people who are willing to pay by check. Okay, so if you're paying by check, money order, cashier check, or at the end transferring money to our bank, discount price applies. We understand that credit cards offer different benefits, and some of you will want to pay by credit card. For that, standard price applies. Okay, so we frequently get people who will check the box discount price, but then give us a credit card. That doesn't go. If you're using the credit card, you need to check the box standard price. The registration has to be signed and dated. Okay, all the box needs, if you want a single room, you just request it. We usually have enough single rooms for those who want to stay in a single room supplement applies. If you know that you want to share a room with a person that you know who will be traveling, you put their name, okay? If you don't have a roommate and you want us to find you a roommate, a father, we will, in Finton, because they know parishioners, you just check the box that you want us to try to find your roommate. We do our best, okay? Most of the times, you know, especially with females, because we have a lot of ladies who are traveling alone and they want the roommates, that is not an issue. The men is a little bit different because very few men travel alone. They usually travel as a couple. So at the end, you know, if we are not successful finding your roommate, we will ask you to pay for a single room supplement. That's all written explicitly in the terms on the registration form. This pilgrimage is, when you look at the program, since I did it recently, it's very well spaced. So we don't like to put too many things, then people get very tired. Especially because in all of these cities, in the town of Assisi, there's a lot of walking. I mean, sites can be, you can get to those sites only by walking. There's Assisi, you'll see, we stay right outside because Grand Hotel Assisi, which is a good 4-star property, very nice, is equipped to work with the groups, the bus stops and all of that. So that minimizes the walking, at least on the first and the last day. But once you get into the town of Assisi, you have to walk, okay? I don't see anybody having an issue here, but I have to bring it up to your attention. The same in Florence, you know, once you're in the city of Florence, everything is walking distance. Cars are not allowed, but what a mesmerizing city. And Michelangelo and Leonardo da Vinci, and some people will want to visit, we leave enough time, like some people want to go to explore. It is a pilgrimage in the essence, of course, always. The spiritual part is the main, but we also leave you time if you want to explore something on your own, like Uffizi Gallery, to book it online and go there in the spare time. Or in Rome, if you want to see the Colosseum or whatever is not in the program, we leave you time in the day that you can book that on your own, and we'll give you instructions how to do that if you have energy and to do some more extra stuff. But all the main parts are completely covered in this program. Breakfast and lunch breakfast and one of the other meals, either lunch or dinner, are included daily, and then we also leave you some time to explore at restaurants on your own, because especially Rome, there's so many places where you can go and eat. Italy is a fascinating, country. I'm talking about Assisi. I've been there at least 15 times, and I never get tired of it. It's always wow. As you approach and you start walking, it's just you breathe the spirit of St. Francis and St. Clare, and you continue with those spiritual sides and Paul. This is the first time I went to the Tre Fontane in Rome. I haven't been there before, and it's really beautiful because where the bus parks, you walk through a little nature to get to the three churches, and then the guides gives you explanation what happened there before you go to, or after you go to St. Paul outside of the walls. And again, buses stop at certain point, and then you need to walk. I'm bringing this up so that you just know, but I've been there with 90 people. We didn't have an issue. Everybody walked. So don't think it's miles, but where the bus parks, it doesn't park in front of the church. Okay, you just have to walk like maybe 10 minutes to get to the place. We are spoiled here, so we park. Right, that's why I'm bringing it up. So that's about it from our, when sometimes people say, oh, if I book my own air, how do I find the group? Rome Airport is small, okay? Basically it has two terminals and they're next to each other. There's no this busing between the terminals, everybody walks. And we will have the meeting point explicitly sent to you with a picture. One year I went there and I recorded all of that, and you'll know in info point that's how we call it, where the group meets, and from there you continue. So now the question is, what if I'm late for the meeting? Well, then you have to find your own way to Assisi. So it's really important that you book your flight to be, I don't know what we said here, I have to remember, or if it's said at all, noon. So I just had a question the other day from the group going to Ireland. Is it okay if you arrive at 11:45? No, it's not. That's too late, because you have to pick up your luggage and all of that. So we say noon, everybody is there at noon. Whoever is not there at noon needs to find their own transportation and take a taxi or whatever, Uber, and go to Assisi and meet the group. But that's easy. You either arrive a day earlier, spend the night at Hilton, or maybe you want to come 2 days early and see something in Rome that is not on the program, okay, and meet the group at the airport, or you pick the flight that arrives early in the morning, okay? So there is, in the area where we are meeting, there is this coffee shop where if you arrive earlier, you just sit there and have a coffee and wait for the guide to show up at noon, okay? That gives us enough time to get to Assisi at a decent time, because it's the ride from Assisi with the stop, from the airport to Assisi with the stop is about 3 hours. 3 hours, okay? So, questions?
What was the name of the airport that you're flying to in Rome?
Fiumicino. It's Leonardo da Vinci is the official name. It's called Fiumicino. The code is FCO. Okay, and don't worry, because you're coming from the States. This is where you land.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
It's not. They have another airport, but that is for small European, those cheap carriers. But the international, they all fly into FCO. Fiumicino, yeah. So there is Alitalia. I don't know, they don't fly every day, and I don't know what the schedule. ITA, I'm sorry, it's called ITA now, that they fly directly from Los Angeles to Rome. But in November, they will not fly every day. Then you have all the Delta, you have United that arrives in the morning, okay? United that arrives in the morning, I think American flies. These European carriers such as Lufthansa, Swissair, British Airways, if you want to fly with them, most likely you'll have to go a day before, because you go via Frankfurt or Munich or via London or via Zurich, and you arrive in the afternoon. And you have to be at the airport by noon. Okay?
What is ITA like as an airline
compared to
That is a former Alitalia, and they are now part of Lufthansa Group. Lufthansa bought, German carrier, they just finished that contract, they bought majority of the shares. I mean, it's a non-stop flight, that's a convenience. Again, you have to check when they leave from here and whether they arrive in the morning, because if they're not early in the morning, then you have to go there early. And in November, they will not have a service every day.
How does it compare price-wise with American Airlines? Is it similar?
It depends, well, usually the nonstop is gonna cost you more
Yeah.
than a connection.
Then a connection.
And they know that they have that nonstop, so,
Yeah.
but for some people, it's worth a premium, it's not that much more, it might be $100 more, but it's, I mean, we all know shopping for airlines now, there are so many factors that affect price, and price can change from week to week, so you wanna kinda keep an eye on the airlines and check out different airlines.
And then the airlines nowadays, they have structured their pricing when you go on their sites, like if it's restricted, meaning no refund, or you pay more and it's a fully refundable. So you go, you can, if you're not experienced traveling with buying the airlines on your own, you can always go to a local travel agent who can help you with that. People also ask about the insurance, okay, travel insurance that we always highly recommend, because you never know what can happen. But when you register and you send us the registration form and the deposit and all of that, then you get the response from our accounting department. Mari is the lady who does that, via email confirming that you're processed, you're on the tour, your deposit has been processed, and she gives you a different travel insurance offers. But she just lists there what kind of different links, and then you can do your own research and see what you want to do. In other words, we do not sell the insurance, but we give you some recommendations. You don't have to go by those recommendations. For instance, AAA is not on ours, but there are a lot of people who like to work at AAA, okay? So you can pick your own, but we give you, like Travel Insured is a company that we send a link that we've had a really good experience working with the passengers, because up until pandemic, including the pandemic, we were selling the insurance. We stopped doing that after the pandemic because it gets so messy. So it's better that the passengers are in direct contact with the insurance company. In terms of claims, we provide whatever you need, but you deal with the insurance company. It's always good to have some travel insurance, because you never know what can happen. Simple things, because we have strict terms and conditions and no refund inside 60 days prior to departure. So let's say you get a flu 2 days before departure, you can't travel. So now you call us and they're like, we can't travel, well, there's no refund. But if you have the insurance and doctor note and all of that, then you get reimbursed by the insurance company. So, and then there is a luggage coverage, depends what you choose. Yeah, but we provide that information as soon as you register. Yes?
Can you just give us a ballpark idea of what, like, airline fares cost and what travel insurance costs?
Okay. Well, travel insurance, I cannot give you any idea, because nowadays most of those companies do it by age. So, older you are, higher the insurance is, unfortunately, but that's how it is. So I really cannot, and also depends what kind of coverage you're seeking. Some people want to be super covered, okay, and there's what they call cancellation for any reason. So if you just change your mind, you're paid in full, there's that coverage that needs to be purchased, let's say, inside 15 days from the time you pay the deposit, but those premiums are really high, okay? And when it comes down to cancellation and reimbursement, they give you about 75% of what you pay. But you have an option, if I change my mind, I don't wanna go, I'm covered, right? Only changing your mind or whatever the reason is, So you're gonna really have to research that on your own. In terms of the air, November, the rates can be, they should be better because that used to be a lower season for travel. But Rome is really hot this year because you have this Jubilee pilgrimage. So if you start researching now, the sooner you do the research, and that's also helping. We always tell people, don't buy a non-refundable ticket until we know that the tour is traveling, which means by March 31st, we know whether we have our 25 people and whether it's a go. And then you can go and do your airline ticket. I'll give you an example. I'm
on Google right now.
Yes.
I'm looking at the exact date. I didn't look into the details of the time. November 3rd to 13, we're looking at around $550.
Same.
The 13th?
Does it include taxes and, does it include taxes and
everything?
everything else?
I cannot tell. I'm just Googling it.
Yeah, so she,
It would be on and off like
that's
600.
super cheap. Okay, that's super cheap, and it's basically doesn't, nowadays they have, you have to be careful because some of them they don't include the luggage, so you pay the luggage at the spot. And it's not gonna be that
That's
cheap.
round trip or that's one way?
This is round trip.
Yeah, I would not. Yeah, that's fantastic, but I would not come.
Very good. Yeah.
And sometimes they have these special offers, you know, that is only valid on this day with a lot of restrictions. So, you know, they're gonna charge you another $200 for your luggage, maybe. You know, so you have to put all of that together and who the carrier is, and sometimes they have a great offers. Sometimes they really do have a great offers. So, but we definitely do not recommend buying a non-refundable ticket before March, before beginning of April, because that's when we know whether the group will materialize or not.
I see there's like four paragraphs that have to do with cancellations. Can you summarize those?
Yeah, okay, so cancellations. First of all, we have individual cancellations, right? So once you sign up, you have a cancellation fee. And it starts from $500, depending upon, it's all written here. Okay, it's up to 150 days prior to departure. Sometimes people call, well, I just canceled 2 months after I registered. Why can't I get all my money back? No, at the moment you register, the cancellation fees start. Okay, up to 150 days prior to departure, it's only $500, and then up to 120 days, it's your full deposit is non-refundable. And now you paid in full, so they're different plus. So you can leave that here, okay, in individual cancellation. Then we have cancellations beyond our control, right? Father, that's what you're referring to. Cancellation beyond CTC control. So what happens? We have gone through everything that you can think of in this world. In 30 years, being with this company, volcano eruption in Iceland, Med-Cal, a pandemic, September 11, Holy Land War, we've gone through all of that. How did we handle that? We say, what we say here in cancellation, beyond our control. So we're not in control, right? Depends when the cancellation happens. And let's say the worst case scenario, we paid everything out. Because we had the groups. I'll give you an example. Going to the Holy Land, it was a land-only group. Everybody with Father Wall made their own arrangements, right? So on the day this October 7th happened, and the war, and the group was supposed to leave on October 8th. So we had to rush and tell everybody don't go, because it's a cancellation beyond our control. Everything was paid. The airlines dealt directly with, the passengers directly dealt with the airlines in terms of what the airline's policy was, whether they were going to give them a refund or vouchers for future travel. In this particular case, we were able to recover all the money from Israeli hotels. They're usually much more flexible than any other part of the world because they deal with this turmoil always. It's never perfect peace there. So they gave us most of the money back, minus $500 was the fee that we kept, but we turned that into a voucher for future travel. So I'll give you an example. So Israel didn't open up, but we had a group traveling from the Midwest in the Holy Land, and we refunded everything minus $500. So they were hoping that in 25 they would go to the Holy Land. We said no, Holy Land is still closed. The priest decided to go to Italy, okay? They all used their vouchers. We were able to get the same costing, okay? People didn't lose anything. They just went to Italy instead of the Holy Land.
So that's if there's a rare instance of there being like a COVID or
Yeah.
a war or something. In the instance, let's say there aren't enough people to make the trip materialize, everybody gets all their money back that you've paid us in that instance.
All right. And there is an instance, what else is the instance? Yeah, this is because through pandemic, hotels also, most of the hotels and all of that responded. They were not that generous as the Israelis, so there were some fees which we couldn't recover, but they were not major. But I mean, that was exceptional. And again, we gave people a voucher for future travel. People who had insurance that would cover them for that situation, they did really good. Okay?
What is the minimum number of people that you need for this trip?
25, that's what we say in the brochure.
Sorry.
Yeah, 25. This is why we say we need to get, close to 25 by the end of March. So,
And the reason is that the hotels, like Inga explained, the demand is so high that the hotels don't want us to leave them short if, they have to resell those rooms.
But if we don't get that number by the end of March, it's a full refund.
Correct.
Yeah, those who have, let's say, the worst case scenario. By end of March, we only have 10 people signed up. We can't operate at March, right? So those of 10 of you who have registered will get the full refund. Yes, sir.
Do we get to see the Pope on this trip?
Yeah, there is a papal audience. Every group has a papal audience on Wednesday, and we structure the pilgrimage that way. So, yes, we hear that the Pope is in the hospital right now, but this is not the first time. He'll recover. So yes, it is on the schedule, yes.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else?
I recently was on a Catholic travel center trip myself. My cousin is a pastor up in Santa Barbara, Father Lawrence Sayre.
Father Lawrence Sayre. So did you see me when I came to do the
I was not there, I live here in LA, I
Yeah.
just did it by Zoom. But anyway, I wanted to tell everybody that Catholic Travel Center did a great job. The guides were very good, I thought all the arrangements were quite good.
Oh, thank you.
You went through Spain.
Spain, yes,
Yes.
that was Spain
Yeah.
and southern Spain, yes,
That
with
was
Father
great.
Lawrence, thank you, thank you. Yeah, and that was more complicated, I tell you.
That was, there was a lot.
Involved a lot of hotels and all
Oh,
of that.
yeah, there was a lot of back and forth, it was very interesting. And there was time set aside to do your own things, so.
That's actually the same feedback I got from other people who've been to.
Yeah.
So I'm more interested in how it's having them to be organizing. That
Thank
gives
you.
you more trust in just going solo. I feel like.
Well, I think the guides were quite good too. The local guides, very interesting, very knowledgeable, and so forth, so.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I guess like as someone that's brand new to the whole Catholic, what are something that I should do ahead of time to prepare? Like, I'm not talking about like logistic stuff, but like, what should we expect from the guide And so I can actually probably do some readings or whatever that is to
Yeah,
actually
well,
keep myself.
There's all kinds of things you can do. For example, so I would say there's a movie by Zeffirelli called Brother, Sun, Sister, Moon. Tells the whole story of Francis and Claire. It's a beautiful movie. And it will inspire you. You will want to move to Assisi after you watch that.
Sorry, what was it called?
Brother, Sun, Sister, Moon.
Okay, I see.
Yeah. It's got a great soundtrack to it. It's really beautiful. So there are things that you can look at in terms of films that have been done. There's I would read something about the early church, and there are all kinds of books out there because one of the things that you experience when you go to Rome is we know that we have this history of this faith, but then when you go and you start to touch into these ancient churches that have been there from the early centuries. So I would do something to kind of fill yourself in on early church history, but and the early Christian community in Rome, which was
And
good.
there is also, what I love about the Catholic pilgrimages is, in addition to the spiritual component, you have the whole artistic one, because all the best art is in those churches. And like whether you go to St. Peter's or Santa Croce in Florence, and if you're interested, it's when you're in Florence, it's all about Renaissance, right? It's all about Michelangelo and Leonardo. Well, if you on Netflix has it, I think they still have it. Medici is it? So to learn about how did we become, how did they come with so much, who was Michelangelo, who paid for all of this? So it's very about the Medici, the famous banker family. So it's something like entertaining, okay, but a lot of history in it.
Read the letter to the Romans.
Yeah, letter to the Romans,
Yeah.
back to the spiritual stuff,
Yeah, there's all kinds of resources online now about the life of Michelangelo. Michelangelo is such a fascinating figure, and he's in.
So buried in Santa Croce. What I didn't know, and I learned recently from the guides, they're really good, these guides, local guides. So as the lady explained, wherever you come, you have a tour manager who will be with you from the beginning till the end, who Ludger was with you. And then in every place where you go, you have local guides. So I didn't really know that Michelangelo was buried in Santa Croce because there, in Florence, because that was his parish. He was a very devout Catholic. See, I did not know that detail. For instance, Leonardo is a different story. So that in Santa Croce is a tomb of Michelangelo, okay? Santa Croce's church in Florence. So you learn all this stuff. Local guides are really very, very resourceful.
Then I would look at the artists Giotto and Cimabue. They both have frescoes that are in the Basilica of St. Francis. So if you look in Cimabue, C-I-M-A-B-U-E, and then Giotto, G-I-O-T-T-O, they're both their work is in the Basilica of St. Francis. So as you kind of dive into their lives, and you'll have some more background on what their own experience is and what they're depicting and why they chose to depict Francis, for example, the way that he is. Assisi is just so enchanting. If you've, it's just I've been there a zillion times, and it's never enough. And there's something about the quality of the light. There's a lot of artists who will come to Assisi to paint. And part of the reason is that the stone that they use in Assisi has this kind of teeny tiny crystals that are kind of luminescent and with a little bit of a pink hue. And so when the sun hits the stone in Assisi in its setting, the whole town just glows. It's just amazing.
And then we have not purposely included St. Peter's, Vatican museums in this program. Because booking those as groups gets very crowded, okay? They have, nowadays, we give you time on the day when you only visit St. Peter's in the morning, okay? You have a local guide and you have mass. and then afternoon is free. So some of you may decide to go up to the dome, climb, okay? There's entrance fee that you pay, and or go to the Vatican Museum. So sometimes they have these a booking, you pay more, and it says keep the line and all of that. We always recommend that you book that ahead of time, okay? That can, you'll see when we come up with the final program, you'll know where the mess is and then how much time you have to do stuff on your own, okay? As Scott mentioned, you know, your hotel is up where San Mary Major is. And if you walk down the street, if you go walking, it's just a down street, and you go upstairs, and you go to the San Pietro and Church. You'll see fantastic statue of Moses done by Michelangelo. Okay, and then you put like €1, €2, and they give you the visual to listen. But yeah, you have to be able to walk and take the steps, which all of you can do. So, and then in Rome, in Florence, if there's time, I believe Academia is included. Michelangelo's David. Let me just.
That's in the itinerary.
Yeah.
Yes, it's in the itinerary, but there's also Uffizi Gallery, okay, which is in that area where you have more Michelangelo and Leonardo, and it's huge, and so you have to pick the session, what you want to see, and also Uffizi needs to be, booked online ahead of time.
So there's a treasure trove you probably know in Florence of art. There's the Pitti Palace, which is a whole nother collection. There's the Bargello, if you're into sculpture, it's just a museum full of sculpture. So you can just spend a week there.
So it's just impossible.
So just pick, as Inge is saying, during the spare time that you have, pick the things that you want to see.
What Florence is like, the guide takes you and explains everything outside. We don't even go into cathedral, because cathedral in Florence, inside, you do that on your own. It's a free entrance, so it's always a line. And actually the beauty of the cathedral is from outside, okay? And the baptistry, then they take you to Academia to see David, famous David, Michelangelo. And then there is a Santa Croce also, which I talked about, where Michelangelo is buried. You have the either mass and local guide explanation, and then the rest they give you some time on your own. Okay, so that's the time when you go and explore whatever you want to see, whatever else you want to see in Florence.
Florence, like Inge said, the Duomo there is absolutely magnificent, and there's a story about that dome on the Duomo, the cathedral in Florence. So there was a competition, because once you see that, I mean, it's like, it's massive, and you wonder, how did they close that dome back then? How did they have the technology? So there was a competition between artists, between architects to do it. And Brunelleschi was the guy who got it, and he said, so the story is that he said, I will surrender the competition if somebody can show me how to, if one of my competitors can make an egg stand on its head alone. And of course no one could do it, so they said, okay, can you do it? He takes the egg on the fat end and just taps it so it breaks a little bit and it's flat on the bottom. Brunelleschi won the competition, not because of that, but that's it's a fun story. And he spent his life closing that dome. And when you see it, you'll see how
it's amazing. Medici is this series that I told you about on Netflix talks all about this, because none of this would have been possible without the famous Medici family that had money and decided that the art and architecture was the way to go.
Yeah.
So, thank you very much.
Thank you.
We hope that you all join this beautiful project.
Yeah. Everyone here just brings 5 people.
That's what I'm saying. It doesn't have to be from this parish.
Or even, family from, or friends from out of town, since it's a land-only program. I mean, we frequently have people do that.
Yeah.
In those cities.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We hope we start the tradition of pilgrimages in this parish.
Yes,
we
I
do
hope so
this.
too.